book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 5. And as you turn there, I also want you to take your bulletins. Maybe I should have said that. Take your Bibles and turn to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. And take your bulletins. And I need you to grab a bulletin. If you don't have one, you can have this one. The reason that I'm doing this is because the sermon this morning is a little bit different, because just like we did when we looked at what fellowship is, today we're going to look at a word study. And basically what I've done is I've gone through the entire New Testament and tried to figure out what this word means. And so you'll notice in your bulletin, after almost every point, there is a Bible verse. And I don't want to bog you down in looking up all of these verses, so I've given them to you so that you might be able to later on go and read and study through this yourself. But in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 11, the Bible says, "Wherefore comfort yourselves together and edify one another, even as you are also doing." Last week we began our study on the function of the church. And we asked the very simple question, why does Southport Baptist Church exist? Why did we bother to get up on a beautiful morning where we could have been out doing all kinds of things and come to this building and worship Jesus this morning? Why are we here? And the simple stated truth is Southport Baptist Church exists for one reason, and that reason is to glorify God. And we have looked at Romans chapter 15, verse 5 and 6. I think that might become one of those verses that just are the church verse, where Paul prays, "Now may the God of patience and comfort grant you to be like-minded toward one another according to Jesus Christ, in order that with one mind and one mouth you may glorify God, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ." That's the purpose of our church, is that we are to faithfully represent God. We are God's representatives to this earth. And as members of this body, our function is to make God look as good and as great as He really is. If you want a definition of what it means to glorify God, that's all it is. That our job is to make God look as good and as great as He really is. When people view our church, when people come and visit our church, when they think and talk about Southport Baptist Church, they should exclaim, "Wow, isn't their God great?" When they look at my life, and by life I mean when they look at my attitudes, my actions, my words, my decisions, when they look and see my life, the thing they should come away with is something like this: "Man, isn't that Jesus something wonderful?" That's the whole purpose of our church. We are God's ambassadors, and we dealt with that at great length last week. We are the most visible symbols of heaven. And the people of earth should look at the citizens of heaven and come away with one thing: an awe of the King of heaven. When people look at us, they should see and focus upon Jesus Christ. And so the question that comes to us this morning, well, how do we do that? It's easy to say it. It's easy to say, well, we're here to glorify God, and that we're here to make God look as good as He is, as great as He is. How do we do that? How does that really flesh out in our lives? Well, two statements. Two statements really encapsulate everything. Number one, we are to be edifying saints. And number two, we're to be evangelizing sinners. Those two phrases really just put it in a memorable way, how we are to glorify God here this morning and within our church. So today, let's build each other up. And as I told you before, this is really based off of a word study. And so I've got to set the picture for you, and I've really got to make sure that you see this. The year was 19 years before Christ, 19 BC. King Herod was the king of the Jews, and he was in rule in Jerusalem. He was a master builder. Richard, we've gone to Caesarea, we've gone to Masada, we've gone to some other places that Herod built, and it was just lavish and massive and just wow. Even now, 2,000 years, Later, when you go to Herodium in Israel, you just look at it and go, how did he do this? But he launched in 19 BC his most massive, ambitious building project ever. He wanted to rebuild and aggrandize the temple in Jerusalem. And so what he did is he began by just completely reshaping the entire mountain of Moriah. It took 10,000 men, 10 years, just simply to build the retaining wall that surrounds where the temple platform was on. You've seen the Western Wall, right? Where the Jews go and they pray. It's a massive thing. You stand at the bottom and you look up, you do this because it's so high up. That is just a little bitty piece in that Western Wall that was about a third of a mile long. Just a little piece in this humongous structure. The largest stone that was built in the wall was over 600 tons. Weighs as much as two 747 Boeing jumbo jets. And what he did is he built this massive retaining wall. He built up the mountain itself onto a man-made platform. And that platform would hold 24 NFL football fields. Can you imagine? You could sit there in one place and there's 24 football fields. That's how big just the platform itself was. When it was completed, it was the largest functioning religious site in the entire world. And even until this day, over 2,000 years later, it still remains the largest man-made platform ever. When it came to building the temple that sat on top of this platform, where the golden dome of the rock now sits, and you've seen those pictures in Jerusalem, Herod really outdid himself. Even the Jewish Talmud acknowledges how spectacular it was. The Jews wrote, who has not seen Herod's building has never seen truly a grand building in their life. Just picture this. The Holy of Holies was covered in pure gold. The walls and the columns of the other buildings were of white marble. The floors were Carrara marble. And I had to look that up. Carrara marble is blue and white marbles. It has blue streaks running through it. And the idea is that when you walked onto the floor, that you were walking on a river of sea. When you look at the curtains, they were tapestries of blue and white and scarlet and purple, depicting, according to the historian Josephus, the whole vista of heaven. In fact, when you read Josephus, which was a first century historian, here's what he wrote about the temple. Viewed from without, the sanctuary had everything that could amaze, either in mind or in eye. Overlaid all around with stout plates of gold, the first rays of the sun, it reflected so fierce a blaze that those that endeavored to look at it were forced to turn away as if they had looked straight into the sun itself. To the strangers that were traveling and approached Jerusalem, it seemed in the distance like a mountain was covered with snow. For any part of the temple that was not covered in gold was dazzling white. When you came to Jerusalem, you came to one of the ancient wonders of the world. In Matthew 24 and Mark 13, Jesus had been up teaching on the Temple Mount, and as they walked back down off the temple, his disciples went, "Whoo, look at that." I mean, there were a bunch of hillbillies from Galilee. They only came to Jerusalem every once in a while. And it was like the hillbillies coming out of the mountains to the big city. And when they saw the temple, here's what they said. They went, "Teacher, see what manner of stones and buildings these are." Woo-wee! That's the Thomas translation. They could not get over it. And even now, even though the temple is gone, when you go and you map and you approach that structure that's still there, you just wow, and you're overwhelmed. Now, I'm interested in words, and someone's going, what does this have anything to do with anything that we're talking about? When we talk about the word edify, I want you to catch this. The word edify I've used all the way through this text already. Every time that you come to the word building, in Matthew 24 and Mark 13, when the disciples looked at the temple, they said, "Wow, what a building!" That's the exact word that we're looking at, the word edify. And here's what I want you to see. You ready? In 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 9, the Bible tells us that we are God's temple. We are God's building. Same word. In 1 Peter chapter 2 and 5, and we talked about this on Wednesday night several months ago, Peter says that we are God's spiritual house. Same word. Jesus comes and he says, we're the temple of God. We're the building of God. As beautiful and as lavish and as big and as spectacular as the temple in Jerusalem was, what God says is, you Christians, we Christians, are something even more beautiful and more precious in the sight of God. You ready? You are the temple of God. That's who you are. And here's the function of our church. Here's the function of the people of God. You ready? We are to be in the process of making each other even more beautiful in the sight of God. We are to be building each other up. That's what it means to edify each other. So do you get the picture? Just as beautiful as the temple was, and it took them 46 years to build all that was there, my job in your life and your job in my life, as being the temple of God, your job to me is to make me even more beautiful in the sight of God than I am right now. I know I've come so far and there's not much that you... No, I'm kidding. Jimmy's laughing because he knows. Boy, there's a lot I can do to help him. That's my job to you. That's your job to me. We are to be building each other up. And I want to make sure that you catch the picture that we're the temple of God and that we're to be making each other even more beautiful in God's eyes. So the question is, well, how do we do that? If we're to be building each other up, how very practically do I do that in your life? How do you do that in mine? 3 points really stand out as we look at this word. First of all, there is an intentional attitude. And you've got to follow this because it builds upon each other. It's an intentional attitude. In a world that is so pessimistic, in a world that is such a me-first mentality, Christians are commanded to encourage one another. And after one long, hard week at work, Christians should look forward to the retreat of the Lord's Day. You should have gotten up this morning and said, today I get to go to church and be with God's people. That's the attitude that we should have. Because we're here out of God's love for me, and I'm here out of my love for you. We get to come and spend time together and draw closer to the lover of our souls. Instead, in so many churches today, church has become a battleground. We bring the attitudes of the world into the sanctuary of God. We become so concerned about my way and my rights and my privilege and my power and my thoughts and my opinions and getting my way than we do about why we're supposed to be here. Shared this with you before, but just to kind of show you the absurdity of some of this, a questionnaire was sent out by Thomas Rayner. And he said, what has your church ever fought over? And he got all kinds of answers, and he listed the top 25 answers. And I won't read them all to you, but just listen to some of the arguments in church. And most of these were not just simply a disagreement. They were church-splitting arguments. There was an argument over the appropriate length of the worship pastor's beard. Sarah, you can't have a beard any longer than mine. Okay. There was a fight over whether or not to build a children's playground or use the land to build a cemetery. There was a deacon that accused another deacon of sending an anonymous letter to the church, and they decided to settle it on the parking lot. My suggestion to that church was you should have sold tickets, and you could have raised all kinds of money to offset what's going on in the offering plate. There was a church dispute over whether or not to install dividers in the women's restroom. I think that's very sexist because they didn't bother about the men. They didn't have an argument about the men. There was a fight in a church over to decide if a clock in the worship center should be removed. The answer always is yes. There is no need and no room and no places in God's house for a clock. Amen? boy, that was bad. There was a 45-minute heated argument over the type of filing cabinet that the church wanted to buy, whether it's black or brown, 2, 3, or 4 doors. And it took an official meeting to decide what kind of filing cabinet. There was a fight over which picture of Jesus they were going to put in the foyer. The question was, well, who took the picture? But they were fighting over it. There was a petition in the church that every male member of the church be clean shaven. And I told you the story one time that I was up at my mom and dad's house working, and I was sweaty, and dad's just like it is now, mowing the grass and weed eating. And I'd ridden my motorcycle, and I had my leather stuff on, and I came in, and I had my leather gloves, and I had my helmet. I was taking it all off, and I walked into a lady's room at the hospital, and she looked at me and she said, "You mean they let you preach like that?" And I said, "Yeah, what are you talking about?" She said, "Well, you have all this stuff up here." And I said, "Well, we did a Bible study and we found out Jesus had a beard. So we put it into our bylaws that if you're going to be a male member of our church, you have to grow a beard. So Malachi, you need to work on that very hard." He's back there going, "Oh no." There was a major conflict in a church when the youth borrowed a crock pot from the kitchen. Even though the crock pot hadn't been used in years, people got all upset about it. There was a business meeting, and it was an argument about whether a church should purchase a weed eater or not. Took 2 business conferences for this church to decide if they should have a weed eater or not. There was an argument of whether or not the church should allow deviled eggs if they're served at their meals because, it's deviled eggs. The answer is yes, because we like them. There was a disagreement in the same church. Do you call it potluck or pot blessing? Because we like and preach the sovereignty of God. There was a fight over whether or not to sing happy birthday during the worship service. There was an argument and a disagreement and a split over whether or not we should use gluten-free wafers when we take up the Lord's Supper. And you can go on and on and on and on and on. There was a church split over which kind of coffee we use when we serve out there. Do we use Starbucks or do we use McDonald's? And the church split over the decision of what kind of coffee we should use. So I'm just going to back up and say one word. And I beg your forgiveness already because this is not a word that you should use from the pulpit. And if you have small children, cover their ears. You ready? Because this is stupid! They get their ears covered. Do you understand? The church is known for this type of junk in our day. And we wonder why nobody will come. And we wonder why when you come to church, here's what you see. The church is known for all of the fights. We come and we say, if you don't do it that way, I ain't going back. We come and say, well, if you don't use my idea, I'm not doing it. We come and we look and see what's happened at the church a week, and we say, well, who put a hole in the back wall back there? Nobody did, but we were worried about it. In Romans chapter, some people just turn around and go, wow, there's a hole back there. Now I can see Wayne. And Romans chapter 14 and verse 19 tells us very succinctly, listen to it. Therefore let us pursue the things which make for peace and the things by which we may edify one another. The attitude that must invade this church and pervade this church is that it's not about my way and what I can get out of it. It's because I love you, how can I strengthen you this morning? We don't do that by demanding our way or intimidating each other towards our perspectives or flaunting our authority and our power. The way that we do that is by, and here's the attitude, you ready? Is by loving each other rather than demanding my rights. 1 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 1. And again, I told you, they're all right here. Go back, reread all the context that's there. But the church in Corinth was arguing about some things. And Paul comes and he tells this church, knowledge makes people arrogant.
See, there were some people that were in the church saying, well, I'm right. There's other people in the church saying, no, you're not right, I'm right. And there was an argument going on. And Paul comes and he says, knowledge makes you arrogant, but love builds each other up. He goes on in that same chapter, he says, you think you're so smart? You think you're so spiritual? You think you're so right? You don't know anything about God if you don't love your brother and your sister in Christ Jesus. In fact, Jesus said, the way that people are going to tell that you're really my disciple, it's not about how much you know or how many times you came to church or how much money you put in the offering plate. The way they're going to know that you're really my disciple is by your visible demonstration of love for one another. John would even take it a step further. In 1 John chapter 4 and 1 John chapter 5, he would say, if you say you love God, whom you cannot see, and you don't love your brother whom you have seen, how does the love of God dwell in you? And the answer is, it doesn't. It doesn't. If you really have been born again, if you really are a Christ follower, it's going to be demonstrated in your life by the visible expression of your love for each other. This is an intentional attitude that says, I don't have to get my way. I don't have to be right all the time. I don't have to demand my opinions to be pressed. Rather, because I love you, rather because you love each other, I am going to love you all the time fervently. And it will direct everything that I say and everything that I do towards you. The whole goal of my life, because I love you, is that my life is going to be built to build you up. And since I've used the hole in the wall and nobody has said one thing bad, so I'm not even thinking about anybody, rather than fight over who cut the hole in the wall, that was me by the way, who cut the hole in the wall, because I can only tear things down, I can't build them up like Wayne can. So there's the answer to that. And coming to the church going, well, nobody asked me if you could do that. Where did you get the money? Nobody said that. Nobody did anything. Rather than that, we come and we say, wow, isn't that a beautiful hole in the wall? I can see Wayne's face now. Isn't that such a pretty sight back there? How can I walk into this building and my attitude be, I love them so much that I'm going to do everything in my life, everything in my power to build them up. And somebody might be sitting there going, well, I don't even like them. Well, here's the Bible. Ready? Get over it. Get over it. You're commanded to love each other. If you're brothers and sisters in Christ, if we're family, we're going to love each other. If they get on my attitude, they get on my nerves, get over it. I got family that's on mine too. I love them. I'll do everything that I can for them. And I'll demonstrate my love visibly to them. You see, this is an intentional attitude. It's not something that we just come into this building and it just comes out. No, it's hard work. You don't believe that? Come Wednesday night when we'll talk about the command in 1 Peter where it says, love each other fervently. It's hard work. It's not an emotion. It means that I'm going to work at loving you. And I'm going to come to this place, to my family, with an intentional attitude. I love you so much. I'm going to build you up. It's not about me. It's about you. It moves from there. Now watch. From an internal attitude to an identifiable action. And I've chosen this word very carefully. Becky laughs at me because I have to get all my I's and all my P's together. But I use this word very intentional because somebody's sitting out there thinking, well, does that mean that I never confront sin? Does that mean that I never, whatever it might be? Do I sit back and allow you to do things that you ought not be doing? Do I never confront? Do I never correct? No, that's not what love is, and that's not what edification is. But rather, before I confront you about your mess, Paul says that I need to stop and look inside my life and my action and make sure that I'm living in a way that builds you up. Before I confront you with the way you live, I must correct the way in which I live. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 23, Paul comes and he says, everything is lawful for me. They're still arguing, by the way, from 1 Corinthians 8 to 1 Corinthians 10. They're still arguing about what they can eat, what they can't eat. And Paul comes and he says, guys, listen, everything's lawful for me. I can do anything I want. As long as it's not sin, as long as it's not morally impure, I have freedom in Christ. I can eat meat sacrificed to idols. It doesn't matter. I can have a sausage biscuit. It doesn't matter. Everything's lawful for me. Paul came out of the Jewish culture. You follow that. And he said, I can do anything I want to. I am free in Christ. I can go where I want. I can say what I want. I can do what I want. No, it's not sin. But then he comes and he says, but not all things are helpful. Not everything edifies my Christian brothers. And therefore, I'm going to be very careful in the way in which I live my life. In fact, what he does in 1 Corinthians is he gives us principles on how to govern our actions. And he says we need to really stop and internalize this. And back in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 12, he says, I can do anything I want to, but if this is going to enslave me, I'm not going to do it. If there's an action, if there's something that I can do that's not sin, but it's going to enslave me, I'm not going to do it. If there is something in my life that would cause a younger brother to stumble in their walk with Christ, I'm not going to do it. 1 Corinthians 8:9. I had a preacher friend one time that was up in Kentucky, and they used real wine at communion service. They told him, you got to go to the liquor store and buy a bottle of wine. He said, I can't go to the liquor store and buy a bottle of wine. What would happen if somebody saw me come out of the liquor store? He drove 2 counties over so nobody would know him. He walked into the store, he grabbed the bottle, and he ran out, put it in his bag, brought it to church Sunday morning, set it out, and had the deacons go out and they would pour it out. And in his haste, he got white wine instead of red wine. And so they had some issues with that. But oftentimes, we do things and say, well, the Bible doesn't say it's wrong. Well, Paul says, look, if it's going to cause a brother to stumble, don't do it. Here in chapter 10, verse 23, he says, if it doesn't make a constructive contribution in other people's lives, I'm not going to do it. In chapter 10, verse 31, verse you should all know, whether therefore you eat or drink, whatever you do all to the glory of God. Do you see how Paul lives his life? Paul lived his life and lived out his relationship with Christ, not to please himself, but his life was others focused. Now, compare that with your attitude. Compare that with the way that I live my life. Because if you're like me, some of us probably got mad right there. I'll do what I want to do. I'll go where I want to go. Who are you to tell me that I can't? You fill in whatever little problem that you have. If that's popped into your mind, there's a good chance that you're probably doing something that's not building others up. And before you yell at each other, or I yell at you about what you're doing wrong or what I'm doing wrong, what Paul says, I need to clean up my act. Paul says that I need to watch the way in which I live. See, this is love working itself out. It's not me demanding my rights or what I can or can't do. It's what's going to be best for someone else. That's why I use the word identifiable. Love working itself out in the lives of God's people. You ready? I can tell that you love the Lord by the way you live your life. I can tell that you love each other by the way in which you demonstrate that love to each other. Now it's the big one. You ready? And the world can tell as well. And they look at the church today and they say, if that's what church is all about, why should I want to go and give up an hour of time there? If that's what the Christian family is all about, I don't want nothing to do with it. All they do is fuss and fight about everything. Then we go to parties in the morning or wherever it is we go, and we fuss about what the deacon said, or we fuss about the decision that was made, and people all around us sit and say, well, I'm not going to that church. And we wonder why nobody will come and See, there's an identifiable action. It's that I love you so much that I'm going to live in such a way that everything that I do is going to be to build you up. It's not all about me. It's about you. And with my attitude corrected, and with my lifestyle corrected, now I can begin to look outward and become a blessing to others. And so there is an intentional attitude. There's an identifiable action. We also see now that I can render incomparable assistance. How do I do it? I mean, I'm living my life. I'm not perfect, and you're not perfect, but I'm living my life so that I build you up. I have an attitude within that I love you so much that all the little peddly things in the church doesn't matter. I just want to build you up. And my life is geared that way, so what can I then proactively do in your life to strengthen you? First of all, we're to please our neighbors. Romans chapter 15, verse 1 and 2 tells us this. Listen to my paraphrase. Tells us that you that are strong in the Lord. Stop. That means that I have the right attitude, I have the right lifestyle. We that are strong in the Lord are to bear with the weakness of those without strength. Rather than simply living my life to please myself, I am to live my life in order to please my neighbor for his good, which leads to his edification. Now I want you to make sure that you call that, because this is not a suggestion. This is how we should do it. This is a command. This is an obligation. This is what we owe each other. This is our duty, our function with one another. We are to care so much for each other that we personally shoulder. Literally, the word means that we pick up the weight and bear it as our own. We are to personally shoulder the burdens of each other so that I can do good to you and push you towards Christian maturity. When we talk about pleasing our neighbor, it means that we are to get involved with each other in such a way that we burden and shoulder each other's weight so that I do good in your life. Watch the back end of this. Ready? Rather than being negative, critical, judgmental, condescending to another believer, we're to help and support and to live in such a way that we are building each other up in our faith. And how many times have you seen it in church? Somebody walks in that don't look like you, don't act like you, don't talk like you, don't dress like you, and I haven't seen it at South Fork. I mean, my hand on the Bible, before God, I haven't seen it at South Fork. John Schuler, do you remember? Some of you remember John. I love it. I visited with him, and he won't bother with this, me using him as an illustration. He was a big, tall guy, black, beautiful hair that came all the way down to about there. Big, long ponytail, sleeves on both arms, biker. And he said, I think I'm going to come to your church. And I said, God, I can't wait. Because when he opened the door, I did this. I can't wait to see. You want to know what I saw? Every one of the people in our church went up and hugged me. Said, man, it's good to have you here. I even saw one girl playing with his hair. He said, wow, that's nice hair. He's got it all cut off now. I didn't even recognize him. Remember, he joined one Sunday. They got transferred to Miami, Florida. And I miss that man. But so often, church becomes so condescending. You don't think the way I think? Who do you think you are? Rather than that, we are to please our neighbor. We are to bear each other's burden for your good, so that we build you up. Second of all, not only please our neighbor, but we are to practice our gifts. 1 Corinthians chapter 12 through 14. And the word edify is used probably more in those 2 or 3 chapters than any other place in the Bible. It's talking about spiritual gifts. And Paul is teaching the church how we are to use our spiritual gifts. And very briefly, what he says is that every church member, every Christian, not church member, every Christian has received at least one spiritual gift. At the moment of salvation, God has imparted to you a spiritual gift. And He's placed you within the body of Christ that you might function and use that gift for the profit of the entire body. He tells us in these chapters that we are to use that gift out of a heart of love to build each other up. And I'm going to be very blunt, lovingly blunt, I hope. And with this first one, make sure that you listen to me. You're going to get a little mad, but listen so that you can hear the end of it. You ready? Number one, if you don't know your spiritual gift, if you don't know what it is, here's what you're telling each other. I don't care enough about you to discover it. That's not a nice thing to say. It's kind of like coming to somebody that you say you love, and you don't know anything about them because you don't love them enough really to find out. If you don't know what your spiritual gift is, what you're telling each other is, I don't care enough about you to discover it. If you're not using your spiritual gift in love to build each other up, you're living in sin. And I'm living in sin. And I know church is so good about, did you see what so-and-so did and how they're living? I mean, they're living together, they're having adulterous affair, they're doing this and that. We can point about all of this sin that's going on in your life or their life. Let me just tell you, if you're not using your spiritual gift, if you're not practicing your spiritual gift, according to 1 Corinthians 12, 13, and 14, you're living in just as much sin as they are. And I know that we don't think of it in those terms. But God said, if you love each other, this is what you're going to do. And here's the one that everybody's going to say, good, I'm glad I was in church today. If you skip out of your responsibility to regularly join with your church family and provoke each other using your spiritual gifts to provoke each other to love and good works, you are living in sin, and you really don't love each other as much as you say you do. And the farther end of that is, you really don't love God like you say you do. We take such a flippant attitude about our ministry together, what church is all about. And He says, if you're going to edify each other, you are going to practice your spiritual gift. Now listen, you'll hear this statement again Wednesday night. This church, South Fork Baptist Church, will be only as healthy as the extent as every member of this body conscientiously exercises their spiritual gift as stewards before God. This church will only be as healthy as you and I use our spiritual gifts as a steward before God. Now make sure that you hear this last. If you don't know what your spiritual gift is, come Wednesday night and next Wednesday night. As we're in 1 Peter, we're going to talk about them. If you don't know what your spiritual gift is, we spent, I think, 7 weeks a little while back on the gifts of the Spirit. Go back and re-study that. Listen to those sermons. Come and speak with me. And let's discover our gift so that we can be a people of God. How do I give assistance to you? I please my neighbor. How do I give incomparable assistance to you? I practice my gift. And finally this morning, we do this by proclaiming God's Word. 1 Corinthians 14, in that same discussion, tells us that the person that prophesies, the person that speaks forth a word for God, is the person that speaks forth edification to the body. In fact, the Bible tells us that every member of this church can prophesy. Every member of this church not only can, but should speak forth a word for God. Ephesians chapter 5 tells us that we are to speak to one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in our hearts to the Lord. See, here's what we're supposed to be doing with each other. You ready? We're going to be proclaiming the wonderful words, the wonderful works of our Lord. For us to do that, that means I got to get involved in your life. For us to do that, that means I need to know who you are and what makes you tick. I need to get in your life so that I can come and say, hey Harvey, let's get together and just meet and talk and let's talk about what Jesus is doing. Have you ever listened to the chatter that goes on before church? How many times have you ever witnessed members of a church come to each other and say, let me tell you what Jesus taught me this week. You usually the conversation and the banner before church is about sports or the race or the vacation or the kids. And all that stuff's great. We need to talk about that. But just one time, I would love to hear a church full of people going to each other going, let me tell you what Jesus taught me this week. We're to be proclaiming God's word to each other. Sometimes that means that we come with words of comfort to those that are hurting. Sometimes that means that we come with words of correction for those that are sinning. But all the time, we are to come with words of edification to build each other up. I got to take a step back and make sure that you catch this. Ephesians 4 tells us that the pastor has been given to the church for one purpose. The pastor has been given to the church to equip the saints, to edify the saints, so that they can do the work, we can do the work of ministry together and build each other up. And what happens in a church in which everybody is doing their part is that I know my spiritual gift, you know your spiritual gift, we love each other, it's not about me, it's about you. Is that we work together just like the body functions together. And when every member does its part, it causes growth of the entire body in love. Is that what you want to see at South Fork? And that means that every one of us must be involved in building each other up. So let's get practical for just a second. Malachi looked at his bulletin last week and said, Daddy, something's wrong with Scott. He said he's on his last point and it's 15 minutes till. Malachi, you don't have to worry about that today, right? I'm almost done. Just give me 2 more minutes. Here's our responsibility to each other. We're to live out our relationship with Christ in a visible, meaningful manner. I am to live out my love for you in such a way that there is no doubt of my love. I don't need to get bogged down in me, having my way, getting my rights, doing it the way that I want to do it. It's not my opinion that matters, but rather I love you so much that I look for every opportunity to demonstrate that love to you. I find those in our church that are hurting. If you don't know anyone in the church this morning, in this building, in this room that's hurting, just hang out a bit. Listen to them, because there's hurting folks that are here, and go and come. Maybe you know someone that has been overtaken in a fault, someone that has sin in their life. You guys that are spiritual, that have a correct attitude and a correct lifestyle, go to that person in an attitude of gentleness and restore them in such a way that they're back in full fellowship with God. Find someone in need and take time out of your busy schedule to help them. Find someone that's younger in the faith and take time out of your busy schedule to be a big brother or a big sister to them. Here's what he's saying, ready? Get involved with each other's lives. Get to know each other. And as you do and grow close together in love, build each other up. Ready? Make each other more beautiful in God's eyes than they are even right now. My last statement is one that I have saved for this very moment. And I want you to hear this above everything else. Then, as we're practicing this in here, as a family, then and only then will we ever be able to reach out to those outside this church and make a difference to the world. Revival begins right here in this heart right now. If we're to be the church that God would have us to be, let us edify one another. Father, thank you so much for the morning that you've given to us, for the simple privilege of being in your house this morning. Father, I call South Fork Baptist Church to repentance. Because, Father, we have forgotten our responsibility to each other. We have shirked our responsibility to each other. We come to church, we listen to the message, we leave, but it really never touches our hearts. And we wonder why revival tarries. So God, I pray that your Spirit this morning would speak to each individual heart here. Father, are we truly living a life that's building each other up? Your heads are bowed and your eyes are closed. In just a second, we're going to have a moment of invitation. A chance for us to respond to what we've heard. This invitation is for the family of God at Southford. I ask us, are we edifying each other? Do I live my life in such a way that Christ's love is demonstrated and put on display? Because my goal for you is to build you up. If not, there's sin in the camp. And revival tarries because we hold iniquity in our heart. I call our church to repent of the sin of not edifying each other. Maybe that's your heart's content and you would say, Scott, I need to find an opportunity. I want you to come and pray and say, God, open a door today for me to build someone else in this church. Maybe you're here this morning and you would say, Scott, I'm a Christian. I know Christ is my Savior. And we're looking for a church home. I mean, a family like you talked about, that we can get involved and that we can work, that we can minister alongside a loving group of people. Today, I would love to have you come and join our family so that we might glorify God together. If you're here this morning and all of this has just been words to you, maybe you don't know Him. Maybe you really don't know Jesus. Today, God's calling you for salvation. However this message has touched your heart, I encourage you to respond. So, Father, we pray that you have your will, your way among us. That your Spirit would search each heart this morning. And, Father, help us not only to hear the words, but, Father, show in our hearts where we have fallen short and how to live these words out practically in our lives. With your heads bowed and with your eyes closed, Wayne is going to begin to play a hymn of invitation. We'll invite you, if you would, right now to stand to your feet with your heads bowed and with your eyes closed. You need to respond to this message. Join me at this altar. As Wayne begins to play, won't you come?